Hi, this is the way I'm going to do the kiln results this time. I had some trouble with doing it out of the kiln because I couldn't do it on that day. So basically, we had a hurricane here, and I just had to get the kiln unloaded. That's been a while now, so I've been putting off doing this video because I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. But um, you read the title of the video that it's Slipware Success, so we can get into that in a minute. I did some test tiles. I am messing around with Majolica. I will have some test pieces in the next kiln load. So this firing was a cone 03, and everything was bisque fired to cone 06. And I know that people say that you're not supposed to fire. You're supposed to fire like the opposite. You're supposed to bisque fire to 03, glaze fire to 06, and I get that, but it also doesn't make a lot of sense because most of the clay that I've been using, the terracotta, does not accept glaze. I mean, it's like trying to glaze a vitrified piece of stoneware, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not. That's if that's what it takes. I'm not doing that because I can never get enough glaze on the piece, especially if it's dipped. And I've tried having a more flocculated glaze. It does not work. So I know the concept is you're not burning out your, volatiles and stuff. So if you bisque fire to 06, there's going to be more volatiles. We do this in stoneware all the time, and I know that there's certain temperatures where volatiles will burn out in stoneware. So I don't know, but this is working for me, so I'm not going to change it. So that's kind of the rule. If I do get crazing, then I probably will have to change, and I've thought about maybe glaze firing all the way up to cone 1. So I'm now using earthen red clay. Earthen red clay is from High Water. This was the first clay I ever used. This is going back like 12 years ago now. Always in the stoneware range because it will go to cone 5, 6. Now, years ago, it used to. They have changed the recipe of it because of a lot of the raw ingredients are changed in everything now. So I have noticed, and I don't have the piece over here, but I'm not going to get it. But basically, last year I fired some to cone 5, and it turned like a dark, ugly brown. It used to look kind of reddish like this at cone 5, just a darker color. But now it doesn't. I don't think it goes to cone 5, 6 anymore. Just in my opinion, it looks really overfired. It cracks also at cone 5 for me. So I don't know if the red art clay that they're putting in here is different because they do say it is. They say it has a different wet color. So just all that being said, I am glaze firing to 03 and bisque firing at 06. Okay, so I dipped this. This is a Majolica white that I made, and it's called PB Matte Majolica. And it's in a book that I have. And if anybody's interested, I can give you the link to the book. It's easy to get book. This needs to be pretty thick. Majolica glazes are usually, they're just a tin white glaze, but they do need to be kind of on the thicker side. And I'm not going to go into that now because I'm just in the beginning stages of it. But what I did is made a test tile to check the colorants. It used to be that you could get all kinds of different colorants, which are basically just like fritted stains that you would paint on top of the white. It's similar to China painting, except you're doing it all in one firing. And this can be done in mid-range as well. If you have like a satin matte white that's very stable, doesn't move, you can do this. Now the problem is you're going to probably have color loss with a lot of the colorants, and that's one of the reasons why to do it in a low fire, because these type of like rose colors are very hard to do. Purple is really hard to do. It's not a it's not a deal breaker, but you do want to consider what your colors are going to look like. You can get some very fine detail doing Majolica. So I have some just tiny little pots here. This is using Linda Arbuckle's website. So I did some little jars. These are just to test. It's copper carbonate. It's a 1 to 1 to 1. frit 3124 and bentonite 1 to 1 to 1. So the thing is, you want to use the frit that is in your glaze if you can. So this is a 3124 based Majolica white, 3124 colorant. So it's basically a glaze on glaze technique when you get down to it. The thing is, it doesn't have to be. So this copper is this right here. It's a really beautiful copper, and you want to test like the thickness level. You kind of want to go on pretty sheer with it. And I won't go into too much with this because I could probably talk a lot about just the Majolica test that I did here. But I also used red iron oxide, real thin. It's kind of washed out, but that's actually a nice color. Cobalt, thicker and thinner. Now you can use stroke and coat, this is what I like about low fire, is there's so many different things that you can do. Whereas in mid range, I've tried stuff like this and you get like mixed results. You'll have a good result one time and it burns out the next time. It can be really frustrating to use these commercially available colorants because they do have various results. They seem to be very sensitive past cone 5, some of them, the stroke and coats. And I also use color concentrates, which is, these are from Colors for Earth. I have quite a few of them. These can actually just be used without anything. All they are stain in a gel base. And this is actually my test tile, just to see how the colors hold up of the color range that I have. This is at cone 03. So, it's just a background of white underglaze with the color concentrates, and they all hold up. It's just so I can have a reference at cone 03 of what they look like. She does send you also, I have it down underneath here. When you order from her, bumped that. When you order from her, you'll get something like this, and it has the color concentrates on one side and the regular underglazes on the other. Both are fine. So you can use those for Majolica. Just the color concentrates out of the bottle, maybe thinned down and brushed on. Now they're a little bit harder to get them to have that sheer look like you can get with the fritted, but they work. And you can just add these to a fritted base too, because all they are just stains in a gel base. It's like ready-made to go. You can also just get stains and do it yourself. So stroke and coat, I wanted to use the lightest colors that I had to see what they look like. And then the color strokes, which are the opaque underglazes from Color Earth, you can do that as well. So, and she does say that on the website that they can be used for Majolica colorants. Very hard to get Majolica colorants now because Amico discontinued theirs a long time ago. Spectrum does have some. You're better off to make your own. So I showed you the color concentrate test tile, and the color strokes are the opaque. Now I've had trouble with the greens. These are greens which are turning brown even at cone 03, and I think it's just the overglazed because I use Pete Pinnell clear. So whatever it is, it's reacting, and I don't know if it picks up on the camera, but you can get the it's like a bubbling pitted thing, which that can happen in mid-range, like even with black underglazes. So whatever this colorant is that's in here, it reacts. So I will probably discontinue those. And she does have some other greens, which I'm testing greens in the next firing because I'm having a lot of trouble with greens with this glaze. So whatever that glaze is about. By the way, this type of test tile is what Linda Arbuckle does, so that's why I did it that way. Kind of like the idea of having a little grid. Okay, so Slipware Success. So let's talk about this. This was the whole point of that entire firing. So this is the clay that I was making, which is called Arbuckle Resolute Terracotta number 3. The problem is it's pretty dark underneath the glaze. I do like it, but sometimes it can be brown. It has a rich color though. So this was just a quick carving that I did. Now, having talked to some people, and Jeff from Potter's Journal helped me out here to get out of my own way. I was using a slip that I was making from raw ingredients. There's tons of different ones. They work, but they do not work on the edge of the pots. Um, this one is actually the raku from a high water. So it's the raku clay body, which I dried out some and worked it into a slip, slaked it down. And then I also deflocculated it with, what is it called? Sodium silicate or Darvan. It's pretty much the same thing. So this did not pop off like I've been having, unless it's going to do it now. I would expect it to do it with the clay that I made, to be honest, because the shrinkage is not going to be the same. I noticed there is a small crack in this, but I don't know if that had anything to do with the slip itself, but it might have just been wetting it. Sometimes that can happen. It may have been a little dried out, but it's just like a tiny, tiny little crack. So it's not the slip. So that is compatible. I also used Ray's Smooth Clay, which is from Laguna. That's this one. Same result. It worked perfectly. So these were dipped in and left on the edge, intention left on the edge. So this is kind of what I've been wanting to do with low fire. So, you carve out a design. Now this design was not meant to be anything fancy. It was quick to get an idea. So this underneath here are Mako foundation glazes, and they're kind of similar to Stroke and Coat, but they do have a sheer, like transparent Celadon line, and they're called shears. So getting them to be compatible with the glaze is what I thought was going to be the biggest problem, but I'm doing them underneath so I can see this clear glaze. Once you put it on, it's dipped. Once it's on there, I can't see where any of the carving is because it's a thicker application that goes on, and it's always like that. So I can't. So you have to do the glaze on glaze technique first. So I paint on the foundations, and I used orange, and I think that is called jade green. Did that on both. All right, so that's the Arbuckle Resolute Terracotta. What I'm really going to be using is the Earthen Red from High Water, and these I just made into planters so I could actually use them for something. Same thing. This one is the Raised Smooth, which is a Laguna clay. Now, what I was looking at are the shrinkage rate of Earthen Red versus the shrinkage rate of whatever the slip clay body is. Both of these are similar in their shrinkage rate, so it's like between 10 and 11%, something like that. That's a way to figure out if it's going to be compatible. I didn't know if it was really going to work because you're going to add water to the white clay and make a slip out of it. So does it have the same shrinkage rate? I don't know. But it worked anyway. So this really worked well on Earthen Red, and it's a beautiful color at Cone 03. It's quite dense feeling. It seems fairly chip resistant compared to what I was expecting compared to some of the other clay bodies that I use. Now I won't be using the Ray. The only reason I'm using Ray Smooth as a slip is because I had some already dried out. It's discontinued, but I can use the entire thing that I have for slip. But this is the Raku clay from High Water. And the nice thing about it is I have used it as a stoneware clay years ago. So, I can fire this to all the way up to cone 5, and that can be fired to cone 5. So if I do decide to do this in mid-range, I don't even have to change materials unless the slip is not going to be compatible with the clear that I would have to use. Because that's kind of where you run into problems, is the clay and the slip might be compatible, but then the glaze, the clear glaze, adds a lot of tension on top of it. So this is probably where I'm headed. If the camera can pick it up, it doesn't look like it's focusing enough. It will have mild speckling, which I like, and it's also not a very stark white like the other slips have been. So it's a very warm looking combination. Again, this is orange with jade green, and I'm going to be testing pretty much all the colors that I have. it's a lot easier just to get the foundations because they do fire in a pretty wide range, just like Stroke and Coat does. And they're already mixed. They're very inexpensive. They're like 450 for 4 ounces from Clay King, and you can, I think it's even free shipping. So it's just easier for now to do it this way than to try to figure out the colorants. So I'm very happy with this result and the fact that it's compatible. This is the first time I've had slip not come off of the rims. So using a clay body seems to be the way to do it. And I know the Raku clay body will have kyanite, which is probably what the speckling is that you may be able to see there. A lot of that kind of got sieved out, and of course the grog that's in it gets sieved out. So it is sieved. I think I used 100 mesh, might have used an 80. I'm not sure, but it was very hard to sieve too. But it made great slip. Now I also did glaze with my amber glaze, and I know people freak out because this is going to be holding liquid, but liquid soap is, it's actually much more viscous. There are redware potters that make soap containers. Let me just move these. Um, I'm not worried about it because I actually tested this glaze with water in a cup. So I made a cup, put water in it, covered it, left it for 3 months, and it was fine. Now it only if it started crazing, then that's going to be a problem. It would be a problem in stoneware as well. So, and it's not a glazed bottom. So I know that freaks everybody out. So the thing about this is an amber glaze, so it's the same peat Pinot Clear with, I think it's 3% black iron oxide, which has a little bit of speckling to it. It gives a much more rustic look. Now I used color concentrate greens to on these, but they turned brown. I didn't think that that was going to happen because I haven't had that happen before. So I don't know if it's a combination of this clay or the firing range. It's not horrible. It just looks really rustic with the cactus on here. But they were supposed to be green, and this is still kind of green. So they all came out like that. I have also a small bowl with brown cactus, but it kind of gives it an antique look, and I'm not unhappy with it. And I made a jar. Let's see. So I will probably lean more toward not using underglazes. This is color concentrate curry, so that holds up really well. But the greens shift. The greens from Colors for Earth seem to have issues, so I don't. I'm testing other ones in case I do want to do this more carving technique with this, but I love the way that the amber glaze looks on just the bare clay. It has that real antique redware look. So really like that quite a bit. And the bottom was also burnt out looking. So it's just the iron made it shift quite a bit. The green anyway. I don't know, the green held up there. I don't know why, but it's very random. So I have to do the testing so that I don't have that problem again. I don't hate it, but I definitely don't want to do that again. So made some little ornaments, redware type, and these. So this has crackle glaze on it. If you can see that, I don't know. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but so you put India ink in. You have to wait like 3 days, and then you wipe India ink all over it, and it's just the Mako clear crackle. I have all three of them. There's a white and there's also a green. Yeah, I think it's called green tea, something like that. But when you wipe the ink on here, you will get it on the back. That's normal. I mean, you wouldn't want to do that for something functional. You wouldn't want that on functional pieces. So there's that, and there were a lot of pieces in the last firing. It was a lot. I did some techniques of just like waxing. You put the white slip on first, but I think this was underglaze. So underglazed in white and then waxed out that, and then went with the black underglaze on top. So that works really well, and that could be done at any firing temperature. Same with this one. These are just incense holders. And that's on the Arbuckle terracotta, which I probably am not actually going to make anymore. I do love the way it looks though. It's like a stoneware, red stoneware. And I still have the black clay from Sheffield Pottery, and it's called like 94600. I don't like it very much. It's groggy, but this was colored slip in the back. So I do like that, and this clay definitely seems like one where you would have to bisque fire higher. It will go to cone 2, I think it says, but you can get some imperfections in the glaze where it's probably burning out, and it just has a little thing to sit on. So, and I made a few bowls that I don't like. Originally, I was going to dip this in amber, but I couldn't really get clear on these to where, so they wouldn't be amber, they'd be white. It came out kind of crazy looking with this. This is color concentrate, sunflower, I believe it is. It's just a little too crazy. It came out. It just wasn't the plan of what it was going to be and what it turned out to be were two different things. And I made a smaller one, and that's better. I did forget to give them tails though. So I have a lot of stuff like that at the next firing. I think the next firing is going to be a lot better. I'm focusing more on this technique, which is what I actually want to do, where you do all the carving in the greenware stage, you have it all set up, and then you put your, your sheer colors on, and then dip it into the clear. And then, hopefully I'll be getting more of that redware look with the clear on it. So that's the goal. And there will be some Majolica in the next firing as well. So I think that was about it. There were some other dishes. Some of them I already sold them, but stay tuned for the next firing because that's going to be much more condensed down to what I actually want to do and not all this testing because I think I've done enough testing. I think I know now what I'm doing. So the other thing is I did see on Guy Wolf's page, which I watched some of the videos of his a long time ago. He does this type of thing as well, and he did say that he uses stoneware clay body for his white slip. So I wasn't really in that mindset. So I do think that maybe that's the way to go if you're going to do this. Try to find the red clay body that has about the same, the white and the red has about the same shrinkage rate. It seems to work if you're going to attempt this. I don't know why the raw material slips don't work so well, but it's a materials thing. The materials are very different now than they used to be. So I'll be back again with another kiln opening and also some books that I have that would be interesting to talk about. So thank you for watching, and check in with me next time.